Hello, happy 4th of July. I'm Cody, and this is my annual tradition for the past few to several years of talking about going into the July 4th, talking about what makes me feel hopeful, what makes me feel patriotic about living in this country, and grappling with the very real facts on the ground as well of what doesn't, and what do we need to work on as a country? And as anyone watching this knows, oh boy, we got a lot this week. So appreciate you watching the video. Hopefully this will be therapeutic for both of us, and I think important to kind of take stock a little bit. So as always, I'm going to highlight issues that we have in this country, as well as some positive stories about Americans helping each other out. Okay, let's get into it. In the past week, last Friday, the Supreme Court ended a woman's legal right to an abortion, to her own body autonomy, by overturning Roe v. Wade. Now, only a week later, this Friday, as I'm recording this, in another 6-3 vote, the court said that the Clean Air Act does not give the Environmental Protection Agency broad authority to regulate greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to global warming. This effectively strips away the EPA's ability to not just regulate, because that sounds cold and dispassionate, to protect us from environmental disasters, including climate change, that we are already not doing enough on. These two rulings, oh boy, they suck. And going into the July 4th weekend, the great irony of having these hang over our head and just looking around and going, Jesus Christ, what in the hell are we doing here? So if you're angry, I'm there with you. If you're sad, I am there with you. And if you're tired, I am absolutely there with you. But I think nihilism is the enemy. And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit. I don't want to fall into the trap of saying that all of this, let me grab hold of my notes here, that all of this is meaningless, or that like all our efforts are meaningless, or that it's inevitable that this country is unjust or cruel or backwards looking. I don't believe that, and I think that is how toxic, fascist, racist, and sexist ideas fester. So I wanna hold firm to some hope and to some patriotism, if not in our institutions, then in the people around who believe in progress. Right? Who believe in increasing opportunities for every race, who believe in increasing opportunities based on your sexual orientation, your gender identity, respecting civil rights, protecting our environment, right? I think we hold the majority opinion in this country. And I think it's important to remind ourselves that for all the pomp and circumstance that the Supreme Court has, these votes that make us feel so powerless, that overturned decades of precedent, it was 6 people. It was 6 fuckheads, most of whom were appointed by presidents who lost the popular vote. Now, you might be asking, isn't this a video about how do I feel patriotic? Yes. But I think it would be wrong. It would be false to try to paper over these critical and timely problems by saying that we're taking pride in our institutions right now. I think a lot of us aren't. I think a lot of us are not feeling patriotic about our institutions, right? And I think that's okay, as long as that patriotism is as long as that is replaced either by anger or by a proactive passion to move our country in a direction that we can feel patriotic about. Right? So again, I want to push back against the forces of nihilism, right? the politicians who would vote to appoint justices like that, right? Because they think that at some point that we're just going to get tired and run down. Look, we are tired. I'm definitely tired. But I think we succeed by not giving into nihilism, and by taking stock and looking around and saying, where are we right now? Where do we want to go? And how the hell do we get there, right? I'm patriotic not because I think this country is perfect or because I'm feeling good about the Supreme Court this week. I'm not. I am fucking not. I'm patriotic because I believe that every right that marginalized people in this country don't currently hold, they can hold, and we can push for that. And we can have a diverse, equitable society that respects women's bodies and respects gender identity and sexual orientation. I know I'm repeating that a little bit, but that's where I want to go. And what makes me feel sad, what makes me feel angry this week, is where we are right now. So, the main takeaway from that should be that we have the numbers. If you are feeling that way, if you're feeling angry and dear God, am I alone in not wanting the worst for people in this country, right? Am I alone in not wanting to control what my neighbor does with her bodies or who she loves, or respecting that climate change is very real and very rapid and very scary? No, you're not alone, right? You are in the majority. And the question, the struggle is, how do we not have this extremist minority rule in this country? So, the couple things I want to highlight that I think are important right now in this moment. Protest. Not once, but again and again. The leaders of these flawed institutions, these sometimes broken institutions, should see a focused and angry population rejecting their ideas. And not just them too. I think leaders sympathetic to our causes, pro-choice leaders, pro-environmental leaders, who maybe haven't come around to ideas like expanding the court, impeaching justices, right? Leaders who are ideologically with us, but perhaps too focused on preserving arbitrary or archaic rules. They also need to see us protesting, right? They also need to see and feel the urgency of this moment and what we need them to do. The second thing is, I was going to say that was one, and now the second thing. But I started saying second, and I raised one finger. The second thing, elect more leaders who will serve our interests and not those of some extremist Christian fascism. And look, similar to the protest, we should and can still hold leaders sympathetic to our causes accountable. Joe Biden needs to expand the damn court or impeach some justices who are appointed by a popular vote losing insurrectionist. But I will tell you this, 10 times out of 10, I'd much rather lobby pro-choice leaders for the actions, the bolder actions I want them to take than the alternative. And I want us to remember that when we're feeling this anger and this fatigue, and not allow it to metastasize into the type of nihilism that, again, can let toxic, racist ideas take root. Again, we have the numbers, and it's up to us to let our voice be heard. Okay, if you've stuck with my self-therapy session thus far, I appreciate it, and I hope you've appreciated it as well. I hope you've appreciated kind of grappling with these and externalizing them, right? And being real about the notion that we don't feel particularly hopeful right now. But that is not a reason to just give up, to throw up our hands and say nothing will ever change. That is a reason to get angrier and to get more focused and more passionate. So I'll close this out by highlighting two pieces of good news of Americans looking around in their community and asking themselves how they can help make things better. First one. In Houston, the fourth most populated city in the country, Houston has reduced its rate of homelessness over the last decade by 63%. And they did this in part by Mayor Sylvester Turner lost my train of thought. Mayor Sylvester Turner brought together a coalition of landlords, homeowners associations, food banks, churches, housing authority, Department for Health and Human Services, and basically they have a program there where by providing taxpayer-funded monetary support, they are able to provide rent, bus fare, stable living situations to people experiencing homelessness. And it is for that reason that they have reduced homelessness in the past decade by 63%. They've not in some way pushed out people of their city. They have said, people who live in the city who need a helping hand, how can we effectively do that? And there's still more to do, but god damn, that feels good to look at that number, 63%, and say that is some real, genuine progress. And I commend them, and that is one of the things that makes me feel patriotic this weekend. The second one is about sea turtles. I love sea turtles. So there's a type of sea turtle called the Kemp Ridley sea turtle. It's a species listed as critically endangered. It's the most at-risk sea turtle population on the globe. Now, they have not been spotted in Texas since 2012. However, this year, Texas A&M's Sea Turtle Patrol in Galveston Island State Park, their routine survey uncovered a nest of 107 extremely precious turtles belonging to the Kemp Ridley sea turtle species, right? They grab these eggs, they're protecting these eggs, they're bringing them back to, I'm going to sound really smart, the place they're supposed to bring them back to protect these eggs. But again, what this means is this is an endangered species that we are using our science, our intelligence, our resources to be able to not just throw up our hands and say, I guess they're going to go extinct, but we're looking at how can we bring these populations back up? How can we protect them and ensure that they don't get wiped off the face of the earth? And more, little by little, we're doing that. And I think this sighting of these eggs in Galveston Island State Park is an indication of the benchmark for success that they've hit, that the population is slowly but surely coming back. All right. That was the two pieces of good news that I wanted to leave you with. As always, I don't want that good news to feel disingenuous or that it's trying to paper over these real and existential problems that we have in our country this week specifically. But rather because I want to remind people, and myself included, frankly, that there are so many of us in this country who are more interested in the collective good than imposing some archaic religious will upon everyone, right? And so stories like these of people trying to put yards on the field, this is the type of stuff that makes me feel patriotic, and these are the types of stories that when I'm contacting voters, I kind of look to, right? And I go, these are the people that I want on my team, you know? All right, that's just about all I got. Thank you again for watching the video. I hope it was as helpful to you as it was helpful to me. When I said self-therapy session, I swear to God, I pretty much meant it. But stay passionate out there, and I hope, because this is a marathon, not a sprint, I hope you're able to genuinely enjoy your time off if you're lucky enough to have some time off this 4th of July weekend. Share it with your friends, your loved ones, and build back up some of that energy, and then let's get protesting, let's get voting, let's get pressuring our leaders, and letting them know that we're not going to stand for this shit, and we know how good this country can be, and we're not going to rest until it is. That's all I got. Happy 4th of July. Bye.